Hello guys. So in the last video we talked about the interview game, which basically reflects on how you should perform in the interviews and how you should behave in the interviews, and also what you should do if there is a disagreement between you and the interviewer, and how you should resolve those disagreements, and more importantly avoid those disagreements, and how to deal with the confirmation biases of the interviewer. And also in one of the previous videos I had told that the real challenge is to basically when you are doing a challenging stuff, the real challenge or the real power comes from separating the irrelevant data from the relevant data. Even though irrelevant data is true and sounds really promising, however, you have to basically separate them from the relevant information. The relevant information are those true information that is really going to add value to your mission, and that is what I'm doing right now. I'm basically giving you all the relevant information, so that rest of the data which is true regarding interview you can simply ignore and overlook, because these are the effective touch points that you should be basically working towards. This is a challenging thing to do, getting basically getting a job, getting a dream job at the top 5 tech companies, top notch tech companies in the world. And you have to persistently do whatever I am instructing you. Only then you will be able to succeed in there. Otherwise also you can succeed, but then you will end up burning yourself a lot. So because there will be a lot of irrelevant information being thrown at you, and you will basically try to confirm or reaffirm those information, and that will be kind of problematic. Let's move on with this slide. So as you can see, the name of this slide is Gyan plus plus, and there will be only one slide in the entire video. So Gyan essentially means knowledge. So here I'll just filter out the essential knowledge that you really require to go ahead from this point onwards. And after I've covered all the Gyans, I will talk about the books which you should refer for data structures, algorithms, high level design, low level design, and tracking other aspects of the interview, of the tech interview for getting into the big 5 software companies. And I'll mention about the merits and demerits of every book. And you can actually go to Amazon or whatever site you prefer, and you can buy those books on your own, whichever you like. Or maybe you can buy all of them or some of them, and then see that which one is suiting you, because in front of your career these books are worth nothing, right? So a few bucks is nothing in front of your career, right? So yeah, so we'll start with this slide. And I would like to start with a very famous quote that I really like, but I'm not sure who is the author of this quote. The quote goes as follows, that the success is like getting pregnant. Everybody congratulates you, but nobody asks how many times you got screwed to get there. So even though I have offers from all the 5 big companies, as technical lead or senior developer, however I was rejected 5 times in all, before I could get those kind of offers. And I know people who have been rejected 20, 25 times, and now they are doing really really well, and they are working in these companies only. So whenever I got rejected, it was a really frustrating experience, and sometimes it was for no fault of my own. It was completely because of the confirmation bias of the interviewer. However, all those things did not really matter. What really matters is the end result. And in those cases also, whenever I was rejected because of the confirmation bias of the interviewer, actually I was not aware of how to deal with those kind of situations and those kind of disagreements with the interviewer that I was talking about in the previous slide. So if I would have been aware about that, I would have probably not been rejected in those times. So that is why I was rejected. And every time I was rejected, I felt pretty dark and pretty depressed. But the real thing that I did was, I basically called up the recruiter and asked about the specific feedback the panel gave to me, so that I can know what are the areas of my improvement, and so that I can improve on those areas. A lot of times the areas of improvement is pretty obvious. For example, if somebody asks an algorithm questions and you're not able to design that kind of algorithm in an efficient way, then you get rejected. But sometimes it is not that much obvious. In both the cases, it is always advisable to confirm with the HR or the recruiter or even the interviewer on why exactly did you get rejected. So yeah, I did get rejected 5 times, and it was pretty dark. But the good part is that in your profile or in your resume, anywhere in your documentation, you never need to document how many times you failed. You only need to document the times when everything went well and you were successful. And one success is more than enough to wipe out all the failures and all the blots that you have got, right? So you just need to succeed, you just need to win big only once, and then nobody will remember and nobody will mind, nothing will matter that how many times you have really failed. But one success is more than enough to wash everything off. And then I would like to basically remind of this very famous quote by Steve Jobs: stay hungry, stay foolish. What it essentially means is that you should dream ridiculously big. What you should basically do is that you should, even though if you are very very far away from your goal, you should not think on the impossibility or the difficulty on how you can really reach that goal. You should actually see where you are right now and where your goal is, and what is the best thing that you can do that will take you nearer to that specific goal. And you should always have your goal in mind, and you never know when the fate will take a twist, when the fate will turn the tables. You never know. It is a small, it is a small drops of waters only that basically makes an ocean. So you need to be consistent and you need to work hard every day. And even though it might look that these the goals is really really far away, but it is actually the entire buffer amount of work that you are doing, which will basically eventually pan out one day. So a little bit you have to study every day, a little bit you have to practice every day. Play interview game regularly, and even to play the interview game you have to basically study and do hard work on regular basis. Only then you can approach that kind of goal, right? So you basically so all you need is one success to wipe all the bloats and failures. And sometimes I get asked this question a lot, that they really did work hard and they followed all these steps and all the suggestions and all the tips and tricks I told them, and they followed all the books and all the resources that I gave to them, but still they were not able to make it a couple of times. So so what I generally tell them is that I agree that yes, luck does play a role, but what you can actually do is that you can optimize your luck. So when I say luck does play the role, you might find yourself that on that specific moment you were asked some kind of question that you were not able to answer, even though you had the capability, just because in that moment the solution didn't strike you. Or sometimes it might happen that the interviewer you are being interviewed with is pretty grumpy and he's not really pushing you or helping you, rather he wants you to fail and he is satisfying his own ego. So yes, these things happen, these things do happen. I am not disagreeing, and a lot of time luck also favors you. In a few times what happens is that the interview is kind of helpful and cooperative, and he pushes you or nudges you gently towards the right solution. So whenever you get a good interviewer, what you should do is that you should be very very open and very very receptive to the feedback or the hint that the interviewer is trying to give you. And as I told in the previous slide, there's a confirmation bias. So if the interviewer tells you that is there a better way to do it, or is there any other way to do it, even though you feel that your solution is optimal, that is a very big hint that you should actually try it in some other way. Yeah. So now coming to the situation, where your luck is not good, what you should do is that you should be polite and gentle and try to reason out with the interviewer that whatever answers and whatever solutions you are providing are equally good. You should try some edge test cases and the normal test cases, and you should also ask for some test cases from the interviewer that might basically then, or if the question is too hard, you can actually try your level best, or if you feel that the question is impossible to solve, you should try your level best to come up as close to the solution as possible. So yeah, so how do you optimize your luck? You basically optimize your luck by attending as many interviews as possible, right? So if let's say your bad luck is on a dominant side, and you attend only one interview, and it is 60% chance that your luck will be bad. But let's say if you attend 20 interviews and you are 60% unlucky, then in 12 of the 20 interviews you will not perform well, but in the 8 of the 10 interviews you will perform well. Your luck will not disfavor you, and out of that, in 3 you will perform well. And all you need to wash all your bloats and all your failures is only one success. So what you need to do is be at the right place at the right time. And since you cannot control the place and the time because you don't know in advance, you should be present in as many places as possible. You need to take as many interviews as possible. So these days I have seen that a lot of kiddos take interview and they basically open some website like Geeks for Geeks, wherein they will expect the exact same solution from you in that limited amount of time which they are looking at that point in time. So yeah, these kind of bad luck does happen. And another case of bad luck what I can think of is that there are very limited seats. Let's say there is only one open vacancy, and there is another candidate who is probably more smarter and who has practiced more and who is in a better situation to crack that interview better than you. In that case also, that specific candidate will get an advantage even though you might be very very smart. So what you should do is that you should move on, and you should keep on practicing, and you should keep on following whatever instructions I have given you throughout this video, and I'll be giving in next probably 2 or 3 more videos. So you should basically optimize your luck, by keep applying and keep attending interviews. So one specific point, one interesting point, I wanted to tell you is that here it is very important to think, design as a process, not design. So you have to basically think interview as a process, problem solving as a process, facing these difficult challenges as a process. You should spend more time with these kind of problems. You should develop a interview thinking. It should not be looked up as a destination, because there will be no perfect version of you. You will never be perfect. You will always be imperfect when it comes to these kind of doing these kind of challenging stuff. So you need to improve yourself day by day. If you will achieve perfection, then there will be no goal and no mission and no purpose in life. You have to have a purpose in life, and that purpose is to make yourself better each and every day and move towards your goal, right? So it is more of it is more of a journey than a destination. And one very big advantage of developing this kind of thinking and thought process is that once you enter into the company and then you're not feeling good about the role or the team that you are in, you can actually, since you are already in the interview process, since you are already in a habit of proving your mettle every time, since you are already in a habit of going through fire every time, it will be easy for you to switch teams as well as switch companies, which will also ensure better financial success, and it will defend you, in a way better manner than basically being stuck in the same position. And one more thing I wanted to cover in this slide is that you have to stay very very healthy if you want to, like, if you want to succeed in this game, because if you will not be healthy, then you will not be able to work hard. So my suggestion is that you should definitely take up any sport, or you should definitely exercise regularly, and if possible every day you should go to gym or take up any exercise, whichever is your favorite sport, or swimming or cycling or whatever. Because if you have to work hard, you have to be very very healthy. And if you have to, I told you in the previous one of the previous slide that you should be able to slog whenever it is required. And that kind of energy you can develop only if you have very very high stamina. So I would definitely suggest you to be healthy, and you should never be obsessive. So you should not so what obsessive means is that you should not be too much adamant on completing a specific goal that you end up hampering your health. Maybe let's say if you are studying like for 36 hours straight, that is not a really healthy situation, because you will not be able to continue that for a very long time, and ultimately you will fall sick or get bored or anything like that. So you should never be obsessive. You should take the right balance, and you should once you are starting, probably you should put in 8 hours or maybe 4 hours or maybe 7 hours a day, and then slowly you should increase from that point, and slowly and by you should increase your efficiency and work done per unit time as well. And I get asked this question a lot. Well, since you will be in these top-notch tech companies, you will be drawing a huge salary. So I get asked this question that what if there is a recession? The people with the highest salary in the industry will be cut first. So I will tell you, don't worry about it. Firstly, when the recession comes, it is the small companies and the companies who don't have their growth trajectory as well as technical trajectory right. They are the ones who are affected, and they are the ones paying the lowest salary in the industry, not the companies like Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon and Microsoft. These companies have already survived a lot of recession, and it will continue to survive a lot of recession, and it will continue to grow in the recession time as well. It is actually these companies are the sharks because of which the smaller companies have to suffer. These companies are never the victim of the recession, but they are the sharks of the recession. So, and at the same time, let's say that somehow these calculations fail, and you too are laid off during the recession time, which is very unlikely to happen if you're associated with these kind of companies. companies, with these kind of companies who have their technology right, who have their financials right. But let's say you are laid off, then you are still in a better situation than your counterparts in smaller companies who don't have the paying capacity like that to sustain this financial crisis, to sustain the recession, right? So it is always good to be in these kind of companies, knowing that you will be paid more and your life will be more stable, and it is because of these companies that other company will suffer and not the other way around. And yeah, so I get asked one more question, that there is a freezing point of a cooling point of every company. So if you get rejected in from one of these companies, then there is a certain amount of time after which you can apply again. So what I would suggest is that, okay, if you get, let's say, rejected from Amazon, you still have like four other companies to study for and work for, and they are essentially, the pattern of studying is essentially the same for the other four companies. And I'm pretty sure that if you can crack the data such as algorithms, high level design, low level design, object oriented concept for these companies, you will most probably be able to crack the same rounds for the other companies as well. So what I would suggest is that even if you are get rejected, and you are in the cooling period, you should still apply on the other four companies, and also similar companies, which are like one tier less than these companies, but still have the capability to transform your life, right, to change your life for better. And also, some company take this freezing period seriously, but I think that a few teams in all the companies are there which don't really take the freezing period very very seriously. So so you can actually try and see if you can get another chance in those companies, and you can also create different IDs like email IDs and give different phone numbers to probably bypass that. But that is a controversial thing to do. But if you're in a desperate situation, you can probably go for that, and make sure that you use the entire system to your advantage. So yeah, so that was all the gyan that I wanted to give in this specific session. This session was a little bit longer than the other sessions, but I think that I have given a lot of deep-rooted knowledge in this specific video. I hope you have learned something new from this video, and I also hope that by this time you have started liking my videos and you have subscribed to my channel, as well as you have pressed the bell icon, so that whenever I upload a new video, you do get a notification. And have a nice day and keep learning. Best of luck for your interview preparation, and I hope you get your dream job. See you next time.